Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. For this video we're going to be talking about 10 of my favourites of this year. These are like in no particular order. I cannot rank them in any way. That is just way too difficult. Even just like making a list of 10 was really difficult, and I'm also not going to be talking too long about each individual book because quite frankly I just don't have the capacity for that right now. That being said, let's get straight into this video. The first book that I remember picking up and reading and being like instantly this is a favourite was Bunny by Mona Awad. The thing that I love the most about this book is it's so weird. Like if you like really weird books, and when I say weird I mean weird as in you just cannot, like you can describe it, you can try to describe it, but you can't like quite put your finger on exactly how to describe it. Like it's a very interesting book, and if you're someone that doesn't need explanations, like you're happy to read something and just take it as it is without it being explained properly, you would really like this book. I've always said that in a lot of areas of my life I don't need things to be explained because I understand the fact that sometimes things are just the way they are and like they don't have explanations. You just need to appreciate and respect the fact that that's what's happening, and this is definitely a book that has those vibes. Like you don't get an explanation really of what's going on, and I think that there's something really beautiful about books that are like that because it really does leave you room to interpret it in the way that you want to carry on the story in your head however you want. Like try and come up with your own explanations if you want to do that. It gives a lot of room for you as a reader to be quite creative in your reading and your understanding of the book. I remember this book being a very visceral book. Like the descriptions are really well done. They really make you think about what's going on. You can really picture it in your head, and like we've got Alice in Wonderland kind of themes going on. We've got kind of magical realism, very fairy tale, like horror, dark twisted fairy tales, which I love. And it was just fun, and a little smidge of dark academia. Like it doesn't go completely into it like other books, but it definitely has it in there, and I love that. The next book that I want to talk about is one that I don't have with me because my brother is reading it at the moment, and that makes me very happy because as you probably could tell because it's in this video, it was one of my favourites of this year. It definitely is up there on the list. Like it's one of my top spots, and that is Battle Royale by Koshin Takami. This is a Hunger Games-esque book which is like a dystopian and has like elements of horror because there's like a lot of gore going on, but like it's not overtly scary. There's some action in there. It's thrilling and fast-paced at times, and it goes a bit more deeper into the characters' psyches at times, so it really is just like an amalgamation of a lot of things that I personally really like, and it feels like it is, I wouldn't say genre bending, but it feels like it kind of encompasses a lot of things. This is also a translated book. It's translated from Japanese, so that's another element that I really like because I've been trying to read more translated fiction. This is about a group of school kids who one day are kind of like, they think they're going on a school trip, and then they wake up and they're in this like classroom setup, and then they're basically told that they're going to be part of this game in which they have to kill each other. There can only be one like survivor, so they basically, you know, it's last one standing. It's Hunger Games style, but this was published in the 1990s I think, so it is obviously older than the Hunger Games, and it's a lot more brutal, it's a lot more adult, even though it like follows younger children, but it does have like very adult themes, or at least the way that it's written really appeals to a more older audience. It's a really fun book as much as that kind of concept can be fun. Definitely a book that I want to reread at some point. It was also longer than 600 pages, but it did not feel like that. It just felt like it went really quickly, so that's another bonus. If you're looking for some like chunky books that actually feel like they go really fast, I would definitely recommend this one. So I'm about to share something with you guys that's made me very sad. You might not be able to tell because like since then I've composed myself. I was about to go and have like a full tantrum meltdown, but then I was like, no, you can't do that because you're 20. The next book is actually the first two books in a trilogy. I haven't read the third book yet because it's only just come out. Those two books are Jade City and Jade War by Fonda Lee. The thing that I nearly had a tantrum over is the fact that I literally just dropped this and completely destroyed it. Like, I mean, not completely, like I can still read it again and stuff like that, but it just makes me really sad. I mean, I don't mind this bit. This kind of looks like a tiger has attacked it. I don't know why a tiger would attack a book, but you know, whatever. It's this bit at the bottom. Anyway, I'm going to be a lot more careful with books from now on, but that being said, I can get over it. I can get over it. It's fine. Everything's fine. These two books are phenomenal. Some of the best writing that I've ever read, especially within the fantasy genre. These are urban fantasy. We're following this clan. They're like made up of a family. Think of like the mafia, but like Asian, but then there's also some nice people. Like, it's not just horrible people, and they're just, you know, I don't know how to explain it. We've got these two clans that are feuding. We're following the one clan, and there's lots of stuff going on. There's lots of stuff in their family. There's like family drama. The best way I could describe it is we've got like the family drama element of like EastEnders, shall we say. We've got that mixed in with some really nice kind of like, I always imagine it in my head as like a mixture of like physically and kind of like aesthetically. It reminds me a lot of like a mixture of ancient China mixed in with like some kind of Blade Runner style futuristic kind of thing. Those two mashed together, I think it's super awesome because like some of it feels really like old and ancient history, and some of it feels like really futuristic, like almost like something we don't have right now. So those two things mixed together, it's a really cool vibe. Lots of drama, action, but not too much. Like, it's that perfect balance. There's lots of like going into depth of who the characters are and what their motivations are, and every single character feels so well fleshed out, like fully fleshed out. You root for some of them, you hate some of them, but you can see like that they've all got positive aspects and negative aspects. They don't feel flat whatsoever. They just feel like real life people. This next book is going to be one that I, again, don't have with me because I read it as an ebook, but I do really want to get my hands on this physically because I loved it so much. It is This Poison Heart by Kaylin Bayron. This is part of a series, so the second book is coming out next year, I think, so I'm super excited for that. And I just can't wait to see what happens with the characters. This is YA, but it feels like more older YA. Just everything about it is so gorgeous and well written, and such a fun story, and with really interesting characters. Our main character, we don't really kind of like know what her sexuality is, but there's definitely representation in there. She has a female love interest. She's got lesbian mums, and they're like the coolest mums that I've ever read about in a book ever. There's friendship in this, there's love in this, there's adventure, there's intrigue, there's just everything that you could want, and it is, I guess, urban fantasy. That's the best way I could describe it, but I absolutely loved it. The next book is another one that has some LGBTQ plus rep. I mean, that element of it is slightly smaller, but I think a lot of people have come to know this character as a bloody icon. A bicon, if you will. She is such an interesting character, and she is the titular character. Evelyn Hugo. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Oh my god, I love this book so much. I can't wait to reread it because it was just such a fun, like, quick, but like, it's got so much in it, and the fact that all of this could come across within like a relatively, it's not a short book by any means, but it is like, it's not a long book, but it has a lot of elements that you would think would be written into a really long book, and somehow the authors managed to fit it into these 400 and something pages. Evelyn Hugo is one of those characters that is like kind of a shitty person at times, but you just can't help but love her. You feel really sorry for her with what she's gone through in her life, and as I said, she's just an icon. Everyone that reads this can tell it's a good book, whether they personally enjoyed it or not. I don't think I have much else to say except from the fact that I love this book. I will be rereading it very soon, I'm hoping. Sarah, I'm looking at you, Sarah. Sarah from Sarah Lorraine Reads says that she wants to reread this, and we were supposed to actually read it together, like we were supposed to buddy read it when she was gonna reread it, and then she didn't end up doing that. And I just read it by myself because like I'm impatient and I couldn't wait. But Sarah, listen to me, if you're reading this anytime soon, I will reread it soon, even though I literally read this like a couple of months ago, but I will, so let me know. Another one with LGBTQIA plus rep. This is a book that deals with some very somber themes, and I feel like I can never do justice in describing it, so I'm just gonna quickly talk about it. That book is A Dowry of Blood by Saint Gibson. I think that's how you say it. This is like, at the core of it, we're talking about a story of abuse, manipulation, like people in power taking advantage of other people, and that is because we've got this woman who basically like is about to die and then basically gets turned into a vampire by Dracula and then gets caught up in this life that he has and is, you know, taken advantage of by him. And that's the best way I can describe it. It is such a nuanced book. It is so complicated and yet very, very beautiful and sad and poignant, and just like a really important book for people to read if they can read it. It's definitely a book that like you need to be careful reading, because I can imagine for a lot of people it'd be difficult to stomach. And it's just so gorgeous, and the thing that I personally really am drawn to by this book is just the way that it's written. It is just so gorgeous. I've never really been a fan of poetry, but this is like, it's got a kind of, yeah, poetry-esque feeling to it, even though it's not. But it's just really gorgeous, and if you can read this, I would definitely recommend. The next book is one that I also read as an ebook, and that is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. This also has LGBTQIA+ rep. This book is very fun, but also again it has some really difficult themes in it, and I think that they were dealt with really well, as far as I can say as someone that hasn't really experienced any of that stuff that's in the book. We're following our main character Nora, who basically has grown up as a con artist because her mum was a con artist, and like her mum has basically dragged her into this trade and like brought her up in that life, which obviously is not a great place for a child, and she's experienced a lot of things that you just in general shouldn't experience in your life, and she experienced them all before the age of like 18. So it's crazy, and she is clearly very messed up because of it, as you can imagine. And then one day she is basically just caught in the middle of this bank heist, and she is there with her ex-boyfriend and her now girlfriend, and that's an awkward situation in itself. It's a horrible situation to be stuck in the middle of a bank heist. It's just a shitty situation, to be honest, but she's a really smart character, and she uses her wits and like her understanding of what she's experienced in the past to try and get herself out of the situation without causing harm to anyone else, foremost, because like she puts everyone else, even people that she doesn't know properly, in front of her. All the characters, like the three main characters, I really loved them. They all had been through shit individually and kind of lean upon each other, but like in a, not in an overbearing way, not in a difficult way, like in a really beautiful way. And I just loved their relationships between all three of them. The next book I have, guess what guys, guess what themes it has, guess what representation it has. Yes, you would be right if you said LGBTQIA+ rap, because those are the vibes. This is Legend Born by Tracy Deonn. This is no surprise. I like, honestly, no, actually saying that, I didn't think that it was going to be a favourite. I thought I was going to really enjoy it, but I didn't think I was going to love it as much as I do. Again, second book's coming out next year, so excited for that. Like, I'm so excited to see what happens with the main character. We've got so many different characters, and my favourite thing I would say about this book is the fact that there's so much representation, but it never feels like it's just been forced into there just for the sake of having representation. I feel like sometimes authors feel like obliged to put representation into their books, but it doesn't work if you can tell that that's what the author was doing. Like, it has to feel as if those characters would naturally be who they are in the book. And the thing is, they never explicitly say this is what I am, and you can just kind of deduce it. And once again, that's just kind of that sign of like, they are just authentically who they are. Like, they are not trying to be anyone else. They have not been written as this like archetype or this stereotype. They are just natural people existing with some not quite natural abilities. So magic, it's an Arthurian retelling, but like not in a it's a very unique retelling as well, I would say. The main character, she is black and she is strong and she's fierce and she's powerful, and like she is just phenomenal, and I just love this. I love everything about this book. Next book, House in the Cerulean Sea. We all know what kind of representation this is in this. I can't speak. I knew I was gonna love this. I was pretty sure it was gonna be a favourite, and I was right. It is so good, and it's wholesome, and it's just cute. It's got very specific vibes that I really liked. I really liked the way it was written. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. We've got this bunch of kids who just are all each so sweet and have such distinct personalities, and they all feel very real. Everything again is wonderful in this. Final book. a bit of a wild card, but I had to put this in here. I had to put this book in here because it is just, it's fun, it's steamy, it's got tension, it's got amazing characters, a great world, and I loved it. And that's The House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. Guys, this book is so good. If you're gonna read anything by Sarah J Maas and you don't want to read anything else, you just want to read one thing, I would say this one, because it is amazing. It will have you hooked. Like, there's so much going on, and it is a chunky book, but like, it doesn't feel like a really long book, if you know what I mean. This is urban fantasy, and like the books that I've read by Sarah J Maas before have all been very much just about fae. This has a lot of different types of magical creatures, and there's a lot more, not necessarily mythology, but I feel there just feels like a lot more history within this, and kind of like that, it feels like there's a lot more history behind it. As much as like a fantastical world can feel realistic, that's kind of how this is. It was just fun, okay guys? It was a wild ride, and I enjoyed it, and I really loved it, and can't wait to continue the series. Once again, another book coming out in 2022. 2022 is going to take all my money, and I am going to thank it. We are finished talking about my top 10 faves of 2021. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, then feel free to stick around. Click the subscribe button, click the bell button to get notifications every time I upload a new video. I will see you in my next video.